Chapter 2. You are not an accident. I can tell this is going to be a long one because I started to run out of red ink when making my notes on the pages. You are not an accident. Your birth was no mistake or mishap, and your life is no fluke. My parents were already separated and considering divorce when I was conceived. I'm an accident. I know this. Your parents may not have planned you, but God did. Because apparently, God's plan overrides free will. Okay. Prescribed every single detail of your body. So, if you have cystic fibrosis, Tay-Sachs disease, or Townes syndrome, God prescribed it. If you have a genetic tendency towards depression, psychosis, paranoia, cancer, God prescribed it. It's all part of God's plan. He custom made your body just the way he wanted it without violating the laws of genetics or heredity in any way, shape, or form. It's not like God spontaneously created you. Oh no, your parents fucked and now you're here. Huh. He then takes a common anti-choice quote from Isaiah, though he doesn't actually write the citation. It's very interesting. He just puts an italicized Bible quote in there, and of course it's usually from the Message or one of the other paraphrase versions of the Bible, and then he just puts a little number at the end, so you have to look it up in the index, because actually telling Christians where in the Bible you're getting this might allow them to verify. Let's see. So he uses, "You saw me before I was born and scheduled each day of my life before I began to breathe. Every day was recorded in your book," which is about a specific prophecy about a specific guy. Anti-choice people love using that because it talks about how I made you in your mother's womb and all that. But it's God talking about one specific prophet. There's nothing about it. It's all about this guy being so special. Whereas anti-choice people want to take that same argument and then say that God has planned all babies to this degree. And it's just not, there's no scriptural backing for the anti-choice position. God decided how you would be born. Okay. My grandmother was a spiritual midwife who delivered babies. Like me, I was born on the living room floor while a potted plant melted in the room, filling it with toxic fumes. Yes, I'm aware of how funny that is. What's not funny is that my grandmother also delivered my friend Larry's son 29 years ago. His mother needed to go to the hospital. She needed medical care and he needed to be in the NICU, but my grandmother didn't take them. According to Rick Warren, God planned for Larry's son to be born in a way that it would render him mentally retarded and incapable for caring for himself for the rest of his life. He's a couple years older than I am, and he lives in a group home, and always will. But apparently, that's all part of God's plan. It doesn't matter whether your parents were good, bad, or indifferent. God knew those two individuals possessed the right genetic makeup to create the custom you he had in mind. So I guess God really, really wanted me to have OCD and arthritis and all the physical ailments that I do have from being a genetic makeup of my parents who both had genetic problems. Oh, I'm also a carrier for cystic fibrosis, which I get through my genes. That was apparently part of God's plan too. Free will, not a factor in any way. And it doesn't matter if your parents beat the ever-loving shit out of you and tortured you and brainwashed you, locked you up, or any of the things that parents do. It was all part of God's plan for you to be tortured for the first 18 years of your life. God never does anything accidentally, and he never makes mistakes. He has a reason for everything he creates, including rape babies. Okay, he doesn't have that part, but come on. Okay. Oh, God is not haphazard. He planned it all with great precision, including the Holocaust, the killing fields of Rwanda. Apparently, it is all planned with great precision. Again, if God does have that kind of level of influence and detail and control over our lives, he's a monster. The cosmos is specially designed whole with life and mankind as its fundamental goal. Okay, that's not what science says, but it's nice that you found a guy who got a science degree that he uses to wipe his ass with that you could quote. Gee, Rick, the intellectual dishonesty astounds me to new depths every fucking day I read your book. He created the universe for us. So fucking conceited and not in keeping with reality. Our universe is massive. Massive. Multiple thousands upon thousands of galaxies in our universe. And you think it was put here for one species that would evolve for one brief era of time on one insignificant planet circling one star? Do you seriously think that all of this was for you? And you want to think that atheists are conceited because we don't bow down to a god? Shiny Mirror Award. Here you go. God's kind of love is difficult to fathom, but fundamentally reliable. In what meaningful way is God's love reliable? I mean, when I think of someone that I love, one of the primary impulses that I feel is a desire to protect them. If Rick Warren's God really exists and is as described, he doesn't give a shit about us at all. He's an accomplice to every single rape. God is an accomplice because he doesn't try to protect those he loves. Or, you know, he's made up bullshit. The Bible says, I've carried you since you were born. I've taken care of you from your birth. Even when you are old, I will be the same. Even when your hair has turned gray, I will take care of you. I made you and will take care of you. Which sounds all nice, except he doesn't. Today, thousands of children will starve to death. Rick Warren's God will fail every one of them. Only you and I can do anything to help. I'm going to put a few links to a couple of charities I support, Save the Children and My Charity Water, to the side, and ask you, if possible, to donate today. Because it's not like God is taking care of these people. Either he doesn't exist or he doesn't care. Oh, here was some ego that just cracked me up. Rick Warren says, if there was no God, you could stop reading this book because life would have no purpose or meaning or significance. As if life having meaning or significance has anything to do with Rick Warren's book. Conceited! Oh, the ego on this man. It's not quite as bad as my cult-leading grandmother's, but I've only gotten into the second chapter, so it might be. Oh, okay, so if there's no God, he says, there would be no right or wrong and no hope beyond your brief years here on Earth. Look, Ricky, I don't need a God to threaten me to behave decently. It sickens me that you do, and that it still doesn't work. Oh, we discover meaning and purpose only when we make God the reference point of our lives, because of course your purpose isn't about you, it's about God. Otherwise, look at yourself probably would be the right approach. Okay, YouTube, let me just close it up. For day 2, the point to ponder. I am not an accident, despite all those facts I know to the contrary. Verse to remember. I am your creator, you were in my care even before you were born. Isaiah 44:2. Some version. Question to consider. I know that God uniquely created me. That's not a question, that's a claim. What areas of my personality, background, and physical appearance am I struggling to accept? Ricky, I'm not struggling to accept myself anymore. Since I put away childish things and left my faith behind, I have more faith in myself and more capacity to handle my own life than I would have imagined as a self-loathing child of God. All right, take ownership for yourselves. Take ownership for your own future. You determine your destiny through your actions, choices, and the way you treat people. Everybody on YouTube, have great and godless days. Peace.